Tom Hain just walked in. Good evening. So this is a board meeting for October 21st, 2021, 7 p.m. I'll welcome you all this evening. Christy, if you would do the roll call.
Absolutely. Trustee Bancoli? Here. Trustee Prigi?
Here.
Trustee Husani? Trustee Gutierrez? Here. Trustee Porter?
Here.
And Trustee Kemper?
Here.
We're all here.
Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have a motion to accept the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Hearing no changes. Christie, call the roll.
I'm sorry, was that for the accepting of the agenda?
Yes,
Yeah,
do you
I'd
have a change?
Yeah, I'd like to remove 7A9 from the consent agenda, please.
7A9 off consent. Thank you. Hearing no others. Christie, call the roll.
Trustee Prigi?
Yes.
Trustee Husani? Yes. Trustee Gutierrez? Yes. Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Trustee Kemper?
Yes.
Trustee Bancoli? Yes. Perfect.
Okay. So I have two proclamations. I think I'll read one from here, the breast awareness, and then I think I have anyone here to present it to. But I'll read it. Whereas October is National Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and October 15th is National Mammography Day, and whereas breast cancer has the second highest mortality rate in women and is the second most diagnosed cancer, and whereas every 2 minutes a woman is diagnosed with breast cancer and 30% of new women's cancer diagnosis will be from breast cancer. Whereas about 1 in 8 U.S. women in the United States will be diagnosed with breast cancer during her lifetime. By the end of December 2021, there'll be an estimated 281,550 new cases of invasive breast cancer diagnosed, 49,290 cases of non-invasive, for a total of 330,840 new cases. And whereas men can also get breast cancer, and an estimated 2,620 new cases of breast cancer are expected to be diagnosed in men in 2021. Whereas as of January 2021, there were 3.8 million breast cancer survivors in the United States. And whereas mammography is an X-ray of the breast and can detect breast cancer up to 2 years before physical symptoms can be seen or felt. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Rodney S. Craig, President of the Village Hanover Park, do hereby declare October 2021 as Breast Cancer Awareness Month and October 15th as National Mammography Day in the Village Hanover Park. Dated this 21st day of 2021. Now I'm going to go to the front and I'll ask Lisa Gutierrez to join me.
She's coming.
Oh, I thought I lost you. No evaporating. So Lisa does a marvelous job in our village and working with others. So I'm presenting to her that domestic violence is a serious crime that 1 in 4 women and 1 in 10 men have experienced during their lifetime. Whereas domestic violence touches the lives of every citizen of Hanover Park, it harms our community. Thank you. It weakens our families, puts children in harm's way, undermines our economic stability, and negatively impacts our schools and businesses. And whereas only a coordinated community effort will put a stop to this horrible crime. You work on that every day. We can work together to break the cycle of violence, change attitudes that support violence, and build a community that is safe for everyone. Whereas Domestic Violence Awareness Month provides an excellent opportunity for citizens to learn more about preventing domestic violence and to show support for the numerous organizations and individuals who provide critical services, advocacy, and assistance to victims. Now, therefore, I, Rodney S. Craig, Village President of the Village of Hanover Park, do hereby proclaim the month of October 2021 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month in the Village of Hanover Park and encourage our residents to come together, reaffirm our commitment to end domestic violence and supporting survivors.
Thank you.
You must say a word or two.
So domestic violence is, that's right, 1 in 4 women, and the trends that we're seeing is that our women are getting younger and younger, so it's affecting teenagers too. So the fact that we're bringing more light to this and that we never forget it and that we're working on historical biases that have influenced this and promoted this type of violence is really awesome. And I do believe Hanover Park leads the way in these sort of things, so thank you.
You're welcome. Now, I must also identify that Lisa Gutierrez, early in October, was recognized, and you had a death in the family. You couldn't go to the recognition. It was a Wintrust Latina X
Community Leader Award. Oh, I got something.
So I have I have a little influence over at the Wintrust Bank, so let's get a photo together.
Where did you get that from?
I have secrets all over the place. So,
Wonderful.
there you go. Oh, hold it together.
All right,
Very
thank
good.
you.
Wonderful.
And please shake the hands of our board.
I will most definitely will.
Thank you. Really? Keep smiling. So I thought that was an upcoming award, and I was surprised to learn that it happened while you had your family tragedy. So I'm glad we were able to present it tonight. And you and I and the Barrington leadership of Wintrust Bank will be taking us to lunch to celebrate. Isn't that cool? I like that kind of stuff. Town hall session. We have 2 signed in?
3.
3.
First, we have Mr. Ed, who would like to talk about the water meter replacements and parking on Kingsbury Drive. Ed?
And thank you for the opportunity to.
Please step up to the microphone.
Ed, you can drop your mask too.
Oh,
If you
that would
want-
be
if you
good.
want
I just got new hearing aids, so it's a little weird.
You're on Kingsbury?
Yes. I appreciate the opportunity to at least let you hear me. I've lived here for 35 years. I'm in a townhome. I'm in Larkspur. It's behind Menards. I'm the president of one of the phases of the association. Recently, was notified about the water meter thing. Okay, fine. Years ago, they did this. I've been here 35 years. Years ago, they did something to the meter. All they did was, I don't know, attach the wire or whatever they did back there. Mine, unfortunately, the way we're built, the way I was put in, I came here when it was already built in the 70s. My water meter is about a foot off the ground. It's behind the water tank, the hot water tank. There's really no access. The gentleman came and he had the little handheld thing. I was one of the first ones to sign up. He came out September 9th. I thought, okay, we'll get this done. He came out, oh, I can't do this. And he had a little handheld gadget, and he said, I'll send it into the village. Okay, well, goody, goody. Unfortunately, then I got what I thought was a strongly worded letter from the department, the president or the manager of public works, which I didn't like the language. You're obstructing your meter. You have 10 days or they shut off the water. Oh, okay, so I called them. And the receptionist was more than nice. And she said, well, it's the village code or municipal code. You have to pay for a vendor, move your water heater. The guy comes out in your appointment window of 2-hour window. He'll do his thing, then they put it back together. Okay, I'm not thrilled with that, but I'll do that. So far, I've been fortunate enough to get one quote from a plumber who wanted $500 to $600. That's a little outside my price range. I'm on a disability. I don't have a lot of money to play with, especially now, given this worldly environment. I have 2 more contacts. I'm trying to find someone to do this. I'm disappointed that the village didn't at least work with homeowners who have special circumstances where the way the meter's put in, I didn't put it that way. They did. Other ones are closer to the furnace. Mine just happens to be off the floor by the water heater. So I'm still looking. Instead of the 10 days, which he gave me a 30-day window, so now I have it rescheduled for November 2nd, so I'm scrambling to find somebody. I'm not a handy guy. I don't want to touch plumbing. But it disappoints me that the village has not thought, there must be other, I'm sure there are with all the homes and townhomes in the village. I'm sure you're going to run into other situations like this. I can't be the only one. But it frustrates me that, number one, there's no assistance from the village, either monetary to help cover the cost of this switch, moving the tank, or at least a list of vendors that we can hire on. A handyman, you're messing with plumbing. I don't want to touch that. So I'm disappointed in that. So I hope you consider that next time you have one of these mandates, or give people more time. I know you have a 2-year project. That's what I was told by the installer man, Siemens guy, I guess. The other thing that I just want to mention, I know when we had the pandemic, I'm on Kingsbury, and it used to be parking only on the east side. And it was only, you had to get off the road between 2 and 5 a.m. or 2 a 6 a.m. You had to call in, or then you went to the website and request permission. You couldn't do it for more than 3 days at a time. We have a lot of issues with parking. Then with the pandemic, they made street parking more available. Now the east side of Kingsbury in my section is open all night long, all right? And maybe I missed it, or there should be, maybe the police need to be. Is there a way where they check to make sure a car hasn't been there for more than 3 days sitting there? Because to be honest, I know of a couple people, not in my development, but they're there. I've seen them. And they leave the car for about 5 days at a time. Some live in the other complex across the street, so it's an extra garage space. And I understand that kids were home from college, kids were home from school, people were out of work, but now that things are picking up, is there still some way where a car at least has to be moved so it's not taking the whole spot? And there are families that have more than one car. There are 2, 3, 4 cars, whatever, and they usually hold the space till the spouse comes home and they jockey the space. But it bothers me that that same car is there 3 days. There was one that was there for three weeks. It was a Peugeot. I think that's the symbol with the little lion. I think that's a Peugeot. They moved that car and they put another one there. But to me, there should be where the same car can't be there for 3 solid weeks. That's a bit of hoarding the space. I don't know.
Well, we permit 5 minutes. Your time is
Yeah.
down to seconds. The police chief has heard your
Okay.
request. The public works director has heard your complaint about, the hot water heater.
Yeah.
I'm always looking for what's our best alternative to doing something. You may have suggested a list of, some handyman that can come in for a few dollars to help do that. So he heard that.
Okay.
So I appreciate you coming tonight.
Thank you.
We tend to create rules that say we always have to have access to our, our water meters or whatever. You have to provide that access. So you're not providing that, so that makes for, when you make a rule, you got to kind of live by it, I guess. But there are better alternatives to doing nothing, and I think we've heard a few suggestions from you tonight that
Okay.
should be helpful. So I appreciate you coming,
Thanks. Okay.
and thank you for your time.
Thank
Thank you, Ed. Thank you.
Okay, next we have
Marty, in regards to the assessment taxes.
McAlpin. I think we crossed paths before.
That's correct, Mayor. Hi, how's everyone doing this evening?
Good, thank you.
My name's Marty McAlpin. I'm here representing a company called Prairie State Gaming, which is a video gaming terminal operator. And I'm here today to speak about the amusement tax that we saw last week at the village board. And I know that, I think Trustee Porter referenced it, that agenda item, if I wasn't mistaken, being removed. But I just wanted to come and share my sentiment on that piece, that ordinance that's being discussed. First of all, Prairie State Gaming does not have a stake in the game in Hanover Park. We don't have any licensed establishments that have video gaming operations or any of those terminals here in Hanover Park. But this is an industry-wide issue that I think a lot of municipal governments have now taken the step to enact a tax. It really is not feasible to collect. The technology doesn't exist for machines to capture that tax and remit it back to the local government. You would have to reinvent the whole video gaming industry in order to do that. This tax, though, far more importantly, it's going to crush local businesses. When you have a tax that, or when you saw the passage of SB 690, which was the video gaming capital bill that derived video gaming funding for state capital funding, there was a 21% share of revenue growth to Illinois governments, between local governments, between fiscal year 19 and 21. This would obviously increase that revenue to local governments, which everyone is for, but at the detriment of those small businesses. It'll actually amount to the studies that our industry lobby associations have put on. It's a 46.5% tax that effectively is not taxing the player that's pushing that machine, right? It's taxing the terminal operator and it's taxing the establishment because they actually have to share an equal cost of those taxes going back to local government, not the player. So, basically I'm here to advocate against that. The state government right now is presenting a gaming omnibus package, and that's most likely why, and if I was, village government, I would be looking at this issue too. But the state government is potentially going to move legislation to more tightly regulate the gaming industry. And I would just ask for caution from the board. Take time to really look at those 10 establishments in your government that have the video gaming operations going on there, and ask them how this would affect them, because most of them will tell you it's close to about a 50% in extra taxes that, number one, as I said earlier, it's impossible to remit those taxes right now with the technology of the machines. And number two, that's taking away from their bottom line and taking away from their ability to compete. So that's why I'm here, Mayor, and thank you for giving me the time to speak this evening.
Absolutely, and I'm glad you came and you stayed under 5 minutes, so I didn't have to warn you.
Absolutely.
But Marty, we are trying to find some balance here. When I talk about the municipality and looking at some additional revenue, we're at the bottom of the sharing, so to speak. My goal is to keep the burden of government off our homeowners, to keep our taxes low. But I appreciate you coming tonight, and thank you very much. The board heard you, and we deliberate on this stuff till we're blue in the face. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Good to see you again. You're welcome. Bob Hain, did I see you walk in?
He did. Bob, for trees in the parkway, come on down. The price is right.
The village, several years ago, 2 years ago, maybe 3, I'm working on it, planted, I think, 84, 85 trees in the parkways. And that was a good thing. But if you don't water them, you're throwing your money away. And there are, out of the 85 in my homeowners association, Montero Homeowners Association, there are many trees that are dead. I mean, I took 5-gallon drums in my car full of water, and watered the ones that are on my street and around the corner a bit, you know, but I can't do them all. And it's just not good business to buy trees and let them die. And I know that, I saw it today, that Hanover Park has a pickup with a water tank on the back of it. Had fertilizer in it, I think, but point is the same. They could be using that just in times of drought. You know, we had a horrible year this year. Many plants died, and I know how to keep them alive, but I can't do all of them. So I'll make a long story short. I'm asking that you set up a system of, you know, of watering plants. When it's real dry, the grass isn't growing, so you take those guys and have them water the plants. It doesn't take a lot, but it's got to be done, or we're forever going to have no trees because they're just dying off.
Bob, I appreciate you coming tonight. We've known each other for quite a while.
Yeah.
I do know, TJ, correct me if I'm wrong, that when we plant the trees,
Yeah.
you know, we put those bags around
Yeah.
them. I think we leave a letter at the household and ask people to, you know,
Yeah.
help us keep the plants alive. The cost for us to run that thing around town would be crazy. But I do appreciate the fact that you personally take on the
Well,
watering
it's-
of the plants in that
it's
association.
From Montero Homeowners Association, I've been there 46 years. All of these, every street, every house should have a tree in front of it. In 46 years, you know, we haven't figured out how to do that. The soil is terrible in the parkways. An inch of dirt and then it's clay. And there are things you can do, that the village can do to improve the soil, gypsum and fertilizer and water and all kinds of things. So please find a way to do this, because I'm getting too old to be humping 5-gallon drums of water around.
Thank you, Bob.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate you coming, taking the
Thank
time to
you.
come tonight.
Yeah, thank you all.
All right. Okay, moving on. Village President's report. I didn't make any notes, but I've been busy as a one-arm wallpaper hanger. A lot of good discussion around our budget the last few days, good challenges, opportunities to explore how we evaluate and move forward. I appreciate all those. It's been quite exciting to see the POC come to Hanover Park. I invite all our department heads to come to the grand opening. I think it would send a nice message in the community. We recognize Lisa tonight for her outstanding leadership award, and whoever I talk to in Palatine, Hoffman Estates, or wherever you're operating, even with Hanover Township, they love her for her work and her diligence. At least I want to again thank you. It was nice to have the opportunity to share that with you. And when I invited the bankers to come tonight, and they were all consumed in other meetings, but they were more than happy to drop it off. And so we'll move forward with that. And Christy, I want to thank you for the time you spent away from your family this past week, or was it the week before?
Oh, last week.
Last week. Learning the position of municipal clerk. There's a lot of benefit that'll come to the residents of Hanover Park from your learnings. And the IML is a great organization to learn from. So appreciate that. So with that, moving forward, move to approve by unanimous vote items on the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Christie, call the roll.
Trustee Husani? Yes. Trustee Gutierrez? Yes. Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Trustee Kemper?
Yes.
Trustee Bancole? Yes. And Trustee Preki?
Yes.
Very good. 789, move to pass an ordinance amending Section 5 of Ordinance 02122, which ordinance amended the Chapter 94 taxation on the municipal code of the Village of Hanover Park by adding thereto a new Article 15, municipal amusement tax. Essentially a Scribner from our last meeting.
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Discussion.
Yes, gives us another bite at the apple to talk about the inclusion of the verbiage that I wanted to add to this. Since our last meeting, I've come across some additional information that I think would be helpful to the board. I attended the meeting of the Northwest Mayor's Conference, the Legislative Committee. This Senate bill that encompasses this 521 is where this is the bill that's in the legislature that's going to be voted on, possibly. As we have talked to our lobbyists who represent the Northwest Mayor Conference, Taylor and his fine family, I forget Taylor's last name. But it seems that there are a couple of problems, first of all, with the bill and the legislation and the way that it's written, that they think because of the ambiguity of the way that it is written, that it's very unlikely that it's going to be able to pass through the Senate as it's written. It says that if a municipality does not approve this push tax by June 6th of 2021, they would be prohibited from engaging in that tax. We're already past June 6, 2021. So the first problem is now, having passed that date, what is the date that would preclude you from being able to pass any ordinance that would allow you to do a push tax, since we have already extended beyond that date? That's going to have to be resolved. They're going to have to fix that. They're going to have to fix the language and make it something language certain as to this is the drop dead date or this is the end date that something can be done and still pass legislative muster. So that's the first issue with that. The second thing is that they canceled the veto session for today. There was supposed to have been a session for today. It was canceled. Everything was pushed until next week. And with the crowded veto session that's scheduled for next week, it diminishes the possibility that this particular bill is going to either come up before the legislature or is going to be put before the governor for his signature before we would have our next board meeting, which is November 4th, which would then take away the time urgency that we would need to include the language that I wanted to add that would allow us to put in the inclusion and merely the inclusion of the gun range and shooting gallery. The language does not indicate that there's any effort to impose a tax. In fact, as we look at the definition of our ordinance, section 94-383, it talks about the word amusement means any theatrical, dramatic, musical, or spectacular performance, motion picture show, flower, poultry, or animal show, animal act, circus, rodeo, athletic contest, sport, game, or similar exhibition for public entertainment, including without being limited to boxing, wrestling, skating, dancing, swimming, racing, or riding on animals or vehicles, baseball, basketball, softball, football, tennis, golf, hockey, track, and field games, bowling, billiard, and pool games, any entertainment offered for public participation, including without being limited to dancing, carnival, amusement park rides and games, bowling, billiard, and pool games, or any video gaming terminal. Now, out of all of those items that are mentioned as amusement, we don't tax any of those that I can think of. We certainly don't, and some of them don't exist in the village. We don't have any wrestling establishments, any dancing establishments, any swimming establishments. We don't have any riding of animals. We don't have any hockey, track, field games, no billiard, bowling, pool games. None of that's offered in the village, and none of it is being taxed. So the argument that, well, we can put this off because the gun range doesn't exist, the shooting range doesn't exist, it's a little premature to think about a tax. Well, none of these other things exist, and none of them are being taxed. So my recommendation with all due respect to everyone, is that we simply include within the definition of amusements, the shooting range and the gun range for future consideration. The reason that I would like to do this is because if we follow from our last board meeting, we said, well, we would do this on November 4th. And I would agree that we could probably come back and do that. But now that we've had this Scribner and this issue has come back up to us, it kind of belies the fact that this was of the utmost urgency and needed to be done right away, because we've delayed it 2 weeks and we're still, going to vote on the issue. So with that in mind, my position is that I agree for the, and that's not even speaking to the fact that we're probably going to end up in litigation if we do the push tax. I don't mind that, and I'm for the push tax, and I'm ready to go forward with it if it should ever come to pass. But I would like to do a clean ordinance. I would not like to have us come in, do the ordinance today, and then come back in November, which it was suggested that we would come back at the first board meeting in November and then add that language. But now that we're here and the urgency seems to have dissolved, I'm once again recommending that we simply include within that language, just as we threw at the end, or any video gaming terminal. We can hide it in the middle. We can say gun range, shooting gallery, or wherever you want to put it, but I would just like to see those 3 words added to amusement. It says nothing about taxing gun ranges. It says nothing about taxing shooting gallery at this point. It just leaves that as an option after we debate it and discuss it as a full board, as we should do, have a robust discussion, and have a full board as to the merits of any type of fee or tax down the road. But it at least gives us a clean ordinance without doing this now and then coming back in 2 weeks, bringing the ordinance back up and then changing it and making amendments to it. So that's why I pulled it from the consent agenda. And with that, I will.
Trustee Porter?
Yes.
I value and appreciate your passion. I am looking for a simple bill. I heard just before I walked in here tonight that this will be taken up, they resolve their differences at the second veto session next week, and I want to get this behind us so that I can focus on exactly what you're talking about. I have not focused on anything with a gun range, appropriate way to tax or not tax. I'm not comfortable with that at this point in time. I've been focused on the budget and trying to get those things resolved. So I asked this board.
But taxing isn't the issue here. I'm sorry.
I'm asking the board to move forward, accept this, I call it a Scribner error, but accept that, and so we can move on, and then we can focus on the next opportunity, end to end, on the gun range and what we're doing. Thank you.
Mayor, so you said that it's coming up during the next next week's veto session.
That's what I heard.
Who told you that? Or is it?
Oh, God, as I was walking in tonight, I'm trying to remember who told me.
I asked because I reviewed the committee's schedule. I reviewed both the House and the Senate schedule earlier this week, and this bill is not a priority. Redistricting is a priority, and many things have been pushed off because of redistricting. And so, while I understand that, this is something that you want to be that you want passed, it is likely that this will not come up until the spring of 2022.
Yeah, I can't count on that.
Right, but I'm on their website right now. There is no. There's no committee hearing, there's nothing scheduled. I'm literally looking at their calendar, so.
Okay, we have, before us, any other discussion, anyone?
I just want to clarify something. Trustee Porter, you're asking not to tax the gun range, but just to redefine entertainment venues. Is that what you're saying?
Amusement.
Yes, added into the definition of entertainment venues.
Right, and I'd like to speak to that, okay? Because, like in my discussion before, when we had this discussion, going to the shooting range is, the majority of people that go are, they're going there to practice a skill, and it's an expensive skill to practice. When I go to the range, with range fees, with the ammunition's cost, targets cost, I'm spending up to $160 plus for about an hour, hour and a half. I don't look at it as entertainment. I look at it as practicing a skill. And I'll guarantee you, everyone that goes and uses a range will tell you the exact same thing. And that's just 9mm. That doesn't include 45 ACP. That doesn't include 308. It doesn't include 5.56 because ammunition is expensive. It's doubled in price over the last year and a half. So going to the range for one person to cost at least $160 for an hour of time is not entertainment.
And
It's skill.
thank you, Jim. And I appreciate that. And that's the kind of discussion that I would like to have as we talk about the viability of a tax. But we're not discussing.
I understand that, but we're talking about definition.
Yeah, as a means.
And I don't consider shooting at the range an amusement. I look at it as a skill, as a skill for hunting, for home defense. It's a place to practice, and not just that, but also to practice gun safety.
The village of Bensonville.
I understand. Okay, now I did a research. The village of Bensonville, the range they have there is a concealed carry range only. It's only for concealed carry classes, period. I went on their website.
But it's listed as amusement. It's
Well,
listed
that,
it's
well,
listed under
but they
the
don't pay,
category
they have
of
the
amusement.
exemption for training. So
This,
they're,
and we might do the same thing.
right, but the
For
thing
tax-
is that range is only for training, period.
But the thing is that it's listed under their definition of amusement. And that's all I'm asking is that we include in our definition
And there's
of
reasons for
amusement.
that, and you and I can discuss about that
Yeah,
later.
yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
Just-
Madam Clerk, call the
Just
question.
to add to that, and just to respond to what you're saying, you know, and thank you for providing just the different, I guess the different definitions or the ways that it's used. But to add to what Trustee Porter was saying, is that I think that there is a precedent of municipalities including it in
There's
their-
a few, there's not many.
Right, right,
Okay.
but there are some out there, which is why this is even being brought up,
Right.
just to add to that.
Thank you.
Bernie,
No, Christie, call the vote.
I need something for the minutes.
You need clarity?
Bernie, can you just clarify the Scribner error so that we have it on record, please?
So what is this ordinance doing? This ordinance is changing section 5, and the main change, section 5 of the ordinance. And the change is basically, we had the ordinance in the previous ordinance taking effect, or at least the tax being effective on the push that occurs on January 1, 2021 and thereafter. And what we really ought to have had in there was January 1 of 2022. And so that is really the substantive change from this ordinance, from the last ordinance to this amendment. It's really, it's not amending anything that's in the body of what's going in the municipal code. The only thing it's amending is a section of the other ordinance that's not going in the municipal code, but directs the village as to the date that the tax begins to be applied. And that date for it to be applied is January 1 of 2022, as opposed to what was in section 5 of the ordinance, old ordinance, which was January 1 of 2021.
Thank you.
So that's really what's in this ordinance.
Yep. Thank you, I appreciate that.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, if
Well-
I could just add one more thing. I'm not necessarily against this tax. It's the fact that it feels rushed. It's the fact that there are already other municipalities within our state that are already being sued Oak Lawn being one of them. And it's also the fact that I don't want to open up Hanover Park to a lawsuit. And so, you know, it just feels like a false sense of urgency to try to rush this through if it's not coming up during the veto session and we just have time to look over it and just make sure that we're going about this the right way. And so I would just ask my fellow board members to consider that.
Okay, and I've shared that I fully expect it'll happen next week. Madam?
Trustee Gutierrez? Yes. Trustee Porter?
No.
Trustee Kemper?
Yes.
Trustee Bancole?
No.
Trustee Prigi?
Yes.
Trustee Husani?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
So is that 4, what's the vote?
4-2.
Thank you.
Okay, 7A11, move to approve warrant 10/21/2021 in the amount of $480,336.25.
So move.
Second.
Any questions on the warrant? Hearing none. Christie, call the roll.
Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Trustee Kemper?
Yes.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Trustee Prigi?
Yes.
Trustee Husani?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez? Motion passes.
Thank you. 7A12, move to approve warrant paid in advance 10/1/2021 through 10/14/2021 in the amount of $322,995.68.
So move.
Second.
Questions on the warrant? Hearing none. Christie, call the roll, please.
Trustee Kemper?
Yes.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Trustee Prigi?
Yes.
Trustee Husani?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez? Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. 7A13, move to approve August 2021 P cards in the amount of $8,473.65.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Christie, call the roll.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Trustee Prigi?
Yes.
Trustee Husani?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez? Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Trustee Kemper?
Yes.
Thank you. Village managers report.
Yes, Mayor. So we had invited the president of Tanglewood subdivision to come tonight, and I don't see that he is here. So I will review on page 92 of your packet is an agenda memorandum regarding special service
I did write them down. I don't think I have them with me, but I can remember, I think. If I remember correctly, last year, the extension for the taxes was about $180,000 or $181,000. Is that correct?
Correct. That's for this 2021.
Pardon me?
For 2021.
Here.
That's the levy for.
Please get a microphone.
So that would be the levy that was passed in December of 2020, correct?
Correct,
And the levy that was collected in 2021.
correct,
And that amount that was levied was about 100, and extended was about $181,000.
correct,
And you told me that that rate was about 0.8 something,
0.8813.
0.881. So we did a calculation, I believe, before, as to what 1.74, which is the max under that special service area, could produce based on the 20 levy and the 2021 extension. And I believe that amount was about $350,000.
Correct.
Okay, so almost double the levy from before. So that's what I can tell you.
So given that request, that would require again a public hearing in order for that to go forward.
Correct.
And so prior to going through the whole process, I wanted to receive feedback from the board as to whether we should schedule that special, or
Public
that
hearing.
Public hearing. On page 95 is what was sent to the village as to how they plan to utilize the costs or the revenue that would be received if that amount was levied. So I'm here, and I thought Mr. Slater would be here this evening
To state his case.
we are just looking for direction as to whether we should modify the budget or not.
So, the public hearing part takes place concerning the levies,
Correct.
truth and taxation.
Correct.
Right. So, there is a point in time when you come to the village board with a resolution concerning truth and taxation.
That will be on the next meeting.
So that'll be on November 4th.
Correct.
So if you intend, if the village board would intend, for any reason, to increase the 181 by 5% or more, you would then have to put a notice in the paper and hold a public hearing concerning that. And the people who live out there would be entitled to come to that public hearing. There is not a requirement in the statute for any further notice to the people. The board, I know, has other thoughts on whether or not they ought to get other notice. And so I guess the question is, what would the board intend to do? And if the board intends to hold a public hearing, then I presume you're going to have a public hearing pretty soon in order to accomplish that. And that requires a notification in the newspaper.
Bernie, did you say that the amount raised would be double what they were requesting last year?
No, I did not say that.
Double
Because,
what?
because I believe last year they
1.74
requested
million.
the exact same amount, or approximately, as they're requesting this year.
It
But
will
what
gonna be
happened is the board-
92.9% increase
Pardon
from
me?
what, it will be 92.9% increase from the one that they paid this year.
Right, so last year they requested the same type of request, at least insofar as the dollars.
So 92% increase is what they're asking.
Yeah, last year it's
It's
94%
94, yeah.
increase.
I remember.
Other than percentage.
I know,
I think
I
they're
know.
looking to they're seeking to generate $342,000 in order to do, at least next year, $160,000 of concrete and asphalt replacement, crack filler, $20,000 on tree trimming, $40,000 of ground improvements, trees and shrub removal and a replacement, and $122,000 towards the clubhouse renovation and additional parking. Which,
So, I just have a couple of questions, and I apologize if this is redundant. So, they came before the village board last year and asked for this same increase last year, is that correct?
A 94% increase.
And was that passed?
No.
So, does the village board have the final say-so?
yes,
Yeah,
each year.
Each year, okay. And so now they're coming back to us and they're saying, we're not asking for a 94% increase, we're asking for a 92% increase.
Again, we levy dollars, so
Well, why don't we say what they're asking for?
Right.
They're asking in their letter for you to extend the full 1.74.
Yes, use the 1.7%.
Right.
Yes.
They're asking for 1.7%.
Oh, 1.72?
1.70.
Oh, 1.7. And the ordinance provides for a max of 1.74.
Correct. They're asking
Okay.
for the maximum.
Okay, so we do only levy in dollars. We don't levy like that. We don't levy in percentages. We would levy in dollars. So, so we just sort of worked it backwards to see how many dollars it would be required to reach the 1.7. But their request is basically for a levy of 1.7% that would produce 1.7% times the assessed valuation of the real estate in Tanglewood. That's their request,
Okay.
Which would generate $350,000.
50 approximately.
Over the calendar year.
And
Not
who
over
bears-
the calendar year. We levy the taxes in December, and the taxes are paid by the property owner, generally in 2 installments. Okay?
Okay, yeah,
And we get the money as the county gets the money.
right. Okay. I don't, I'm sorry, I'm still struggling to understand it, but I do understand a 92% increase. To me, that's wild. I don't know how else to.
It was difficult last time because it was right in the middle of COVID. They were asking for a 94% increase. And I know they want to fix the area as well. When we visited, I know the clerk and I visited, folks didn't know that this was coming.
Probably would be helpful to know what it is exactly that they are planning. They're asking the village to provide funds. The village will contract out the work and basically supervise the work. That's because it's our project. All the special service areas are our projects. So, but they're special because they do benefit only the areas that comprise the special service area.
I would say
Thank you.
maybe,
Oh.
because I don't know that we would supervise one of their requests is a clubhouse renovation.
I think you would.
And so I don't know that it's
a
our
public, it's
past.
a public work. It is a public work. You're using public dollars and it's a public work. They would have to follow the Prevailing Wage Act. We would have to follow the Prevailing Wage Act.
This is the.
So the dollars they're at is what, 170,
108, they're going to be about at 180.
180, and they want to go to 342?
Yes.
It's the same guy that
Yes.
was going to get rid of the pool and do the townhouse
Yes.
years ago.
What is it?
And then
They did take the pool out.
They did.
and
Right.
made it a parking lot.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, they do have some serious problems, I think we'd all admit, at Tanglewood. They have the ability, they have the ability, the right, I guess would be a better word, to assess the people who live out there, they have a homeowners association. And I do believe they do assess them. I don't know what their budget is or anything else, but there's probably no question that there's need for work to be done out there, work on the common elements and other work too, I would imagine.
This is the only budget they provided. They didn't say, let's look at a lower than 1.7. They didn't give you a second budget. Here's a 1.7, here's a lower.
No.
Just go for the max.
I think that they have, as you can see, multiple years of projects, and all of the projects on their actual buildings is another whole different discussion, which they need to assess their homeowners for, which are significant cost dollars and issues that are there, which code enforcement's working through. So there is definitely a need for funds to do work out there, and I think the board is trying to get those dollars to do that. The reverse side is that you need to make the decision. You had some of those homeowners who came to the public hearing and spoke that that increase would be difficult for them. So,
And that's why I was asking that they come up with something a little bit less, meet them halfway.
Okay, I thought last year was a tough year for them to come in and ask for the kind of dollars. They are continually looking to make those improvements. We're talking about $162,000 increase, if I'm doing the math right, across 515 townhomes? So what does that come, what kind of a tax dollar increase on the homeowner does that equate to?
Right.
162,000 divided by what, 505 or 515, however many? But they've got some serious work to do. And let me just ask this.
Yep.
If we approve this,
It's about $700 a house, is that correct?
that sounds high.
It is?
314.
How much?
314.
$350,000.
314.
Pardon me?
314.
314? How much is it, you said, for the what is the, what would be the tax levy?
If it is the 1.7 maximum,
No, the dollars.
357,000.
357?
But
That's the total.
That's the maximum of
Well,
1.7.
you asked the 357 divided by 500 is $714.
I think it's
right,
So-
but it's an
so
increase
it's
from
a-
last year of 165,000.
No, I think it's an increase of about $350, isn't it?
314.
Oh, 314 from last year? Oh, I thought you said 14.
No, 314.
Okay, per house, right. Right.
Which is deductible. So,
About seven, what did we say, 700?
Based on my calculation, if we're gonna give them the 1.7% increase that they're asking for, it's gonna be for a house with a net taxable value of $32,460, they're gonna end up paying $551.82. Compared to what they paid right now in 2021, they only paid $286.07. So if you increase that by 1.7%, they're gonna end up paying $551.82.
Which is
So
an
that's a
additional
difference of
$3
$265.75.
What,
For the year?
Yes.
How many houses are there out there?
505, 515?
so what is the distinction between us doing an assessment through the SSA and them using the homeowners association to assess that fee and that increase? What's the
so
reason they would
this-
go? I've never had a homeowners association,
Yeah,
so
I-
what's the difference?
I think
in
the
that?
reason, the difference is that if the city levies it, it will be collected. If they assess it, they'll collect most of it probably, but they'll have some people that are unable or don't want to pay.
Well, they're going to be unable one way or the other, so.
Well,
What is the value
People-
of the homes
people-
there?
People will
Remy?
pay their taxes before.
This
they'll
is
pay
just
the
based on the tax
Right.
value. It's like, the equalized value is like 38,460. And then, if there's like a residential exemption of 6,000, so their next taxable will be 32 based on
Most of
that.
those are rentals.
So if we do it, they're gonna be in here with tar and pitchforks, when we pass it, complaining that we put through this increase in their assessed values, their rates. So, I mean, we're kind of damned if we do and damned if we don't in this
Yeah,
situation.
and I think our notion here is to support the homeowners association.
Yeah.
You know, I'd like to do that. But he's coming in here and add, we could cut in half what he's asking for and still have a hearing, but they need to make improvements.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
agree.
and these are common area improvements. They could have a whole nother issue. I mean, if he was here tonight, he'd probably call us out on the balconies.
Mm-hmm.
They need to, they're bad, you know? We're about ready to board up their windows so that they don't go out on the balcony. That would be
think-
ugly, okay?
Mr. Mayor, I think this just goes back to, like, I totally agree. We need to beautify this area. We do.
Yeah.
But it just goes back to how we just jumped to the highest, again, just kind of like, we're gonna double, and so if we can just go meet them halfway or something like that, you're looking at $653.82 if indeed that is, 38,460, the value of the home. I would like to hear what the homeowners have to say.
Why don't, and again, I thought that Mr. Slater would be here to represent the homeowners association tonight. Why don't we try to get in touch with him and meet with him and get some additional information?
Well, who submitted this? It wasn't the homeowners
The
association?
board, yes, it was the homeowners
Oh,
association.
Yeah, their board.
But they have, I've not sat down at a meeting.
Okay.
And how many of the board members actually live there?
I
'Cause
don't.
If I remember correctly, Slater doesn't live there.
I will say that, again, they're trying to improve the area, and I think that the projects they've put forth are ones that will make the area nicer to live in. But it's just how that is paid for and
I have
the
another,
role that we all have in.
I like your suggestion, Mayor, that we look at some other reduced amount rather than this full ask.
I would, instead of the 162 that he's asking for, why don't we come up with 80? You know, that'll meet him halfway. But I have another question. If we were to give them what they asked for, which I'm more agreeing with what you're saying, but if we bounce them up to the 162,000, which would bring them to 342,000 if I'm reading this right, then they wouldn't come back to us. We would just give them the 5% every year, and they wouldn't have to come back. It would just be, you know, we wouldn't be being harassed to keep giving them more money, because every year a 5% increase would be within the tolerance until they get all their work done. So we could bite the bullet one time, and then they're good for the next 5 years. Or we can give them half the amount now and make them come back, and, you know, we're always splitting hairs.
So,
If you bite the bullet, we'll have to have a town hall meeting, right? We would.
Okay, I
'cause
didn't hear you.
If we do decide to do that 1.7%, the highest levy, then we would have to do a town hall?
Correct.
Anything over 5%, we got a town hall.
We have a
And-
public hearing.
And just keep in
Oh,
mind,
Town hall.
just keep in mind the 357,000 that is asking for, that's just for the project. Just, we're paying for the trash, so that's another $200,000 that he didn't account it for.
Huh?
We're paying for the what?
The trash pickup, the trash services.
Oh, the trash.
So, quick question, out of 500-something houses that we have there, how many are owner occupied? Because as I know, Tanglewood is mostly rented and landlords are there. So how is it impacting the community? I just want to know how much, do we have any number on that?
How many are owner occupied?
Owner occupied.
Probably in the high 40s.
40%?
40%? Schubert, do you have that number?
I heard 53% were rental.
In all of Tanglewood?
Yeah.
So as a whole?
It's high rental.
It's a high rental, and it's a transient community as well.
One of my friend owns properties there, and I know it's Section 8 is mostly occupied, his tenants and stuff like that. So how much are the landlords paying? How much are the owners? That's what I want to kind of see. If it's 50%, that's high. Then owner occupied, that owners are going to end up paying it, not landlords. Okay.
Okay, this isn't an action item this evening.
Yeah,
I just
all
want
right, just-
kind of direction as to whether we should move forward or if it with something, a public hearing.
Well,
think a
trustee
public
Porter suggested that we try to meet him halfway instead of the full amount. I'm okay with that.
But even if you
He's
do
still gonna need a
that, but if you
public-
do that, if you do that and you come to an agreement, you will need a public hearing.
Right,
Yes,
it'll be more
Because
than
it'll be
5%.
more than 5%.
Right.
So maybe you ought to plan on a public hearing.
And that, and you would still make the final decision after the
Correct.
public hearing.
Agreed.
I think we see the need for the dollar. I mean, they gotta improve that joint, you know? And I appreciate the homeowners that want to improve it, even if they're renting, you know? Good discussion. Thank you, everyone. That's what we were hoping for. We have no closed session, so I have a motion to adjourn. No, I'm ahead of the game?
Way ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, boy, am I ahead of the game. I'm gonna be in big trouble. I just cut out everybody. Monthly treasurer's report.
Only if you have any questions.
Questions, anyone? I cut out the clerk and all the trustees. Boy, am I in bad shape. Christie, any report?
Yes. Halloween decorating contest is up. We have 23 homes, I believe, signed up. So please go visit these homes, encourage people, and please vote so that we can get some fun out of that. The tree lighting is underway. And I did have that municipal clerks meeting last week. That was great. And I do, the Cook County clerks are coming to Hanover Park in November, and we are hosting a dinner at Caracca Grill with them. So that will be fun to have everybody in our hometown and not go to another town. So that is all I have.
You are one proud clerk.
I am.
Nice, nice. All righty. Corporation Council,
No report, thank you.
pardon me. Trustee Bancole.
Yes. So within the past couple of weeks, I was able to attend the Illinois Senate hearing on congressional districts, the one that was held about a week ago at Elgin Community College. I thought it was important to attend because, as it stands, Hanover Park currently falls within 2 congressional districts, the 6th and the 8th congressional district, and there was talk from our legislators. So we have the DuPage side and the Cook side. There was talk from our legislators of the DuPage side fully falling within the 6th congressional district. As it stands right now, we have parts of only DuPage in the 6th and the 8th. And so I thought it was important to attend. They're still working through this map process, but if this change does occur, I think it would be important just to maybe notify our residents that, you know, their legislators have changed. I also had the chance to stop by the Mobile Museum of Tolerance at Trickster's Art Gallery in Schaumburg. So the Mobile Museum was pretty cool. It was on this coach bus, and the whole purpose of the museum is to combat hate and racism and intolerance, and to just essentially promote human dignity. And so, you know, it's this coach bus that tours all throughout the state of Illinois. And so State Rep Michelle Mussman and Trickster's Art Gallery worked to just bring it to the area. So I really enjoyed it, and I'm just thankful for their efforts. The Environmental Committee last weekend had a cleanup day in front of Hanover Highlands Elementary. We cleaned up the butterfly gardens. It was in desperate need of cleanup, and so hopefully just the herbaceous species there aren't getting choked and will be good until the spring. Just wanted to draw attention to the fact that the Hanover Park District recently launched a 2-minute survey. It's only 2 minutes about indoor athletic services. So I would encourage everyone to take the survey. Again, it's only 2 minutes, and it will help shape the future of programming efforts. And last but not least, again, I want to thank our village staff and the village board for all the discussion that we had about water. I'm glad that we have come to the decision of an incremental increase, as well as exploring options for exemptions. I would, based off of the data that we have of water shutoffs and it only being within the 30 account range, give or take a couple of counts, I would like to explore for a future agenda item that we essentially just prohibit water shutoffs for commercial and tenant households, that it may still be allowed for any, residential and tenant households, but that commercial still, the shutoffs still be applicable to commercial complexes. And so, again, I am going to motion that this is added to a future agenda, hopefully before the end of the year, because this is, I think it's the time to talk about it. We're already talking about water, so let's just make sure that we talk about all the ways that we can essentially bring equity when we are looking at these exemptions. And Bernie, I'm not sure if I need a second there.
That is correct.
Second.
I don't know, can we be clear about what the motion is?
Yes.
Well, there's,
can repeat
I
it.
don't know that, can
to-
the board take action if it's not on the agenda?
So I'm not asking for action.
They can't take final action on anything, but I think they can take a motion to put something on the agenda.
On the agenda.
On a future agenda.
So can I get
For-
exactly what is on the
Yeah.
future
Repeat
agenda?
it.
Yes, so tonight we talked about water, we talked about exemptions, we talked about the possible increases. We've also talked about how within our village, on a monthly basis, we have 30, give or take, accounts that are subjected to water shutoffs. And because it is a small amount, I would, I would like to explore the idea of prohibiting water shutoffs from residential and tenant households. However, commercial and if we have any in industrial in the village, complexes would still be subjected to these water shutoffs. So this would essentially, I believe, take a look at our ordinance as it stands right now. Juliana, you mentioned before during our workshop that previous boards had talked about, water is water, water is an enterprise. And you had also mentioned that before you started working here, the previous board had also put that seniors are exempt from certain water charges. So I think it's maybe time that we revisit that ordinance. It sounds like it's been quite some time. And so I am motioning that we bring this up and what I'm proposing on a future agenda, and I hope that it can be done before the end of the year.
Okay.
It's long-winded, but.
For clarity's sake, is your motion that you want to have some proposals and discussion about prohibiting water shutoffs for residential and tenant households and the reexamination of the senior exemption?
Correct.
And that's what I second.
Thank you.
We'll pack the place with seniors. I love it. Pardon me? Any discussion on the motion? Did we have a second? I think we did. Yes. Any discussion?
I think I want to explore more as to, is it have to be 30 days and shut off, or maybe extending that? So I think it's the right direction. We should have some dialogue on that, so I'm looking forward for it to put it on agenda. That's it.
I would recommend that we have a workshop on this. This is something.
Not November 4th, but future.
No, a workshop setting versus
okay.
regular board agenda. And
Okay.
we can bring the previous, information that, of the actions and steps that the board has taken in the past. And then try to address you have a discussion of what you've requested.
Can we have a workshop setting and stuff?
Yeah, I think a workshop is great.
Yeah.
However, I don't want to take away from the fact that I would still like to have this as an agenda item before the end of the year.
Well, let's see how the workshop goes.
Right, and I think a
No,
workshop is needed.
Yeah, I
Yeah, usually
Appreciate
these
that.
bigger issues start at a workshop, and then the board decides if they're gonna have an ordinance or a resolution, what that is made up of for the board agenda.
Can I then amend the motion to say that we have a workshop followed by a board session to address the motion as stated?
Sure.
Does that satisfy what you're
Yeah,
looking for?
if we're
I
gonna have a
just-
workshop,
I-
yeah.
I think the only issue is that, if some consensus is reached, let's say, at the board workshop, something needs to be drafted up. So it probably wouldn't be available in final form for the actual village board.
But maybe the meeting follow.
It wouldn't have to be the meeting following, right? The work,
It could be a meeting following.
or it could be a meeting in a month.
Yes.
But just some future board meeting that we would address it. We'd have a workshop followed by a future board meeting. I would like to amend the motion with your permission to amend the motion to state that.
Workshop.
I guess the first thing would be, would the second agree to that change?
Yes, I think a workshop is needed for that, but there is.
Yeah, usually it's just not how we've done it in the past. We've usually had a
But it can
workshop,
be-
and
it
then
can
at
be
the
done,
workshop,
but-
you decide what the next step as a group is that you're gonna go do.
I don't think you're talking about immediate next meeting that should be on the agenda. I think we could do this in a
Do the
board meeting
workshop
like we're
and
doing in a
then
setup
following
right now.
board
We
meeting.
could do it, that we've got to put it on agenda. But let's have a workshop first.
Right, no, I agree. And,
Yeah.
I am bringing it up because we've spent the past 2 nights talking
Yeah.
about water. So I'm not just pulling it out of thin air. It's because we've been talking about this.
Oh,
So-
it's been a year, since last year we've talked about the need.
So even more, even longer, so.
So
So it's been motioned and seconded. Can we just take a vote now?
Yeah,
So it's her motion
Yeah.
and the second
Yeah.
without your.
as long as we have a clear understanding.
Nope,
Yeah.
that's clear.
Chrissy, you
So-
We'll
have
still
a
do
clear.
it.
Did someone second my,
Yes.
I need someone to
Oh.
Syed did a second.
Our second,
Syed, you read it.
I already did.
He already did.
I think we're
roll
okay
call.
with the addition of the second. We have a motion, correct?
Regular agenda.
Okay, got it.
Workshop is needed, and then a future agenda doesn't have to be immediate.
Yes.
But I don't think we even need to add that future agenda right now. If as we're doing it right now, we can
Oh,
put
that-
it on agenda. If we have a workshop that's productive and we agree with something, we could have this discussion and put it on agenda again. So that could be done anytime. I think what we should do is what Juliana is saying, have a workshop.
Right, that's
Okay.
what we already
Alright.
agreed to.
Let's have
We'll
that.
pull the data together.
Yeah.
and Bernie can write the ordinance.
Yes.
It
yeah.
may not all happen
And
at
then,
the same day.
then we could raise it like we're
Yeah.
doing it right now and then have it on agenda.
Okay,
So is that clear, Bernie, for you?
we have a motion and a second. We have clarity on the motion without objection. Christie, call the roll.
Absolutely. Trustee Prigi?
Yes.
Trustee Husani?
Yes.
Trustee Gutierrez? Yes. Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Trustee Kemper?
Yes.
And who am I missing?
Who'd you run
Then
out?
I think you forgot.
Oh, Trustee Bancole. Yeah, sorry. You went down to the second line. Trustee Bancole. Yes, thank you. Thank you, board. Thank you.
I'm smiling. You can't see me, but I'm smiling.
I see your eye. Thank you. God, what a mess. Okay, trustee Priggy,
No report.
trustee Husani.
We had a Development Commission meeting on October 14th. We actually had a public hearing about a variance to extend in the backyard for Zipline Drive in Hanover Park, one of the residents. And also, we had southwest corner of Stearns and Redford, there was a concept plan for townhomes, which was overly crowded concept plan that development commissioners had a good discussion and then asked them to go back and redo it because it was crowded and there needs to be more car parking spaces and everything else. I think the commission has learned from past experiences and had implemented that. I was very happy to see that it was a productive conversation happened. Before it comes to the board, the Development Commission has handled it to have it more space for the new townhomes, and that went very well.
I like it when the commission
Yes.
really vets the issue before it comes to us.
It was definitely a good discussion and
Good.
informed discussion because we recently went through the Weiss Road and stuff like that. So learning from that and implementing it to have that seasoned vote is great. That's it for me.
Thank you. Trustee Gutierrez.
First of all, thank you, everybody, for your phone calls during a difficult time for my family. I appreciate it. I appreciate the visit, Mayor.
Yeah.
So did my husband. Thank you so much. I met with the DEI working group for the Metro Mayor's Caucus, and what they're doing, the folks from the other suburbs, what they're doing is they're looking at DEI internally first and foremost, and they're looking at by department. They're looking at surveys within each department, sort of the same questions we asked on our survey, but asking each department. So they're sharing that on a drive that we can all look at soon. Met with the mayor, Dr. Parker, and the new VP of Diversity over at Harper College, and that was a great conversation there. I'm excited about that as they're also all coming to the grand opening of POC. Just want to relate that the Cook County Emergency Rental Assistance Program ends on the 29th. It's such an easy program to fill out, and it does cover utilities. It covers water, so if anybody's listening, I urge you to take advantage of that. The Economic Development Committee did meet, taking a look at the last event, which I missed, but I saw it was wonderful. And we have some of the, some of the Old Salem business owners are coming to the meeting, and so my goal is to go to the other little plazas and also invite them to these meetings as well. And then finally, just a question. On November 4th, are we looking at this entertainment ordinance again on the agenda? No.
No? We are bringing back the gun, I guess yes, the request that trustee Porter had
has.
requested us
That's
to
on-
review. Bensonville's and I believe Villa Park has one as well, so the village attorney and I will be
Will
looking.
those be shared with us so we can look at them at how they do it?
How they implement.
The Bensonville and all that stuff, those ordinances are gonna be there?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay. All right, thank you, that's it.
That's it. Thank you, and again, congratulations, Lisa. Trustee Porter?
Thank you. I'd like to start off by offering, I know they're not here, but I'd just like to offer my sincerest condolences to the family of General Colin Powell, a great American. Many may disagree with some of the decisions he made leading to the original Iraq invasion, but for a man who with a lifetime of service to our country, I'm just want to offer my condolences to his family. Truly a great American and a trailblazer who forged the way for many and was a role model for many African Americans in government and in politics. I think that without a Colin Powell, we wouldn't have had a Barack Obama. And so for that, I'm eternally grateful, and I thank him and his family for their service.
Well said.
I attended the Metropolitan Mayor's Caucus. There was a Zoom call, and there was a discussion of a new program that's coming out that will affect all of Cook County, and I'm not sure how DuPage will figure into it, but it's called the Low Income Water Assistance Program. TJ and I had a brief discussion. He's aware of that and will be attending a call as they meet with water providers. And the basic premise behind the water assistance program is that it will operate sort of in a shadow fashion to the LIHEAP program. Typically, up until now, LIHEAP has only covered utilities, gas and electric bills, whereas the water assistance program will give residents an opportunity to receive relief from this program, starting at $250 up to $1,500. It will not always require that their accounts be in arrears, simply that they show a hardship in meeting those bills and paying them, and some of the particulars are being worked out, and it operates with the agreement of the water providers, and many municipalities are already signed up for this. Many of the water providers for communities that aren't their water provider, because some municipalities rely on private services to provide water, and those services are all signed up, some of the larger ones within the state, and it goes live on November 6th, the first week in November, I think November 6th, so there's still some things to be worked out, but I just wanted to give you a heads up that there is going to be more relief for people who are struggling with their water bills. So, and I know that that's an issue that's near and dear to everyone here on the dais' heart, and let you know that those concerns are shared by many. In the Northwest Mayor's Conference in the Legislative Committee, we talked about the veto session. A couple of things that are coming up that haven't been discussed already today is House Bill 220, which deals with the LGDF, and I guess Congressman DeLuca is pushing a bill that will restore the LGDF to 80%. 8%, yes, I'm sorry, 8%.
I'd like 80%.
An extra zero, 8%, as opposed to the 10%. It was at 10%, and he's looking, he thinks as a compromise, we probably can't get to 10%, but as a compromise, yeah, they're going to go to 8%, and then we'll fight for the remaining 2%. And most of the mayors on the Zoom call on Wednesday were all in favor of taking that step and going for the 8% increase to restore that. So that was met with a lot of approval by the session. Also, one of the other issues that's going to be coming up is the issue of qualified immunity. There's expected to be a lot of robust and very deep discussion on the issue of qualified immunity. I don't know how far the state will be able to go, because it's also being considered on a federal level, and I think that immunity, the teeth of it comes from federal legislation. So until I think the feds do something to address qualified immunity one way or the other, I don't know how far they'll be able to go on the state, but they will be talking about and having discussions on qualified immunity, and that will be a hot topic that they will be considering. Finally, on a personal, well, it's not personal, but on another note, I had the opportunity to, my grandson is taking swimming lessons, and they live in Carroll Stream, and he's taking swimming lessons at the Carroll Stream Park District on Lies and Gary Road, over that area. I've never been over there before. I've seen the Aquatic Center on County Farm in Lies, which is gorgeous, a beautiful facility. But when I walked into the facility at Lies and Gary, I thought I was walking into a Lifetime Fitness Center. I mean, it is a gorgeous, gorgeous facility with a running track and exercise room, lap pools, beautiful locker rooms. I mean, it was absolutely, absolutely stunning is how beautiful that was. And on my way home, I live on Center Avenue, which is down the street from the Park District, the Hanover Park District. We share that neighborhood. They're on Walnut, and I drive past that pretty much 4 or 5 times a week. And I felt a sickening in my stomach as I drove past and I looked at our facility compared to what I had just passed in Carroll Street. So you say, Trustee Porter, what are you saying? What I'm saying is that I talked to my daughter who lives in Carroll Stream, and she informed me that people are avoiding moving to Hanover Park because of our park districts. We're losing, people come in and they review the town, they take a tour of the town, they review the town, and they look at amenities like the park district. And when they go over to our facility on Walnut and look at and compare it to the Bartlett facility, compare it to the Carroll Stream facility, to the Streamwood facility, to the Schaumburg facility, to the Hoffman Estates facility, it's not even close. And so people are avoiding, they're making home buying decisions, and that is affecting it. To that end, I know that we're not the governing body for the Park District, but it's affecting us. We're looking to bring in an upscale class of families into the community. We have plans for these beautiful new houses over in our village center where we're going to be putting up some upscale housing and throughout the community, and that's our goal. But I think we are really defeating the purpose if we do not take some type of action, engage in some type of collaborative effort to fix the Park District situation, because it's now having a direct impact on our village and has been for years. We can't kick that can down the road any further. I think it's going to require some drastic action, and I just want to, there's nothing we can do at this board meeting, but I just want to go on notice to say that, not only did I get a sickening feeling, but others who consider moving to Hanover Park for all of the other things that we have to offer will turn us down because of the dilapidated condition of our park districts. And it's not just the center court facility there on Walnut, but it's all of the parks. The playgrounds are in deplorable condition. People don't want their kids to go and play in the playgrounds. They're afraid because there's still broken, dangerous equipment in the playgrounds. I could go on, and I won't because the hour's getting late. Anyway, I just want to state that that's a situation that we're going to have to address and we're going to have to deal with. And I heard that there's going to be some kind of joint board-to-board meeting between the two boards, the Park District and maybe the Hanover Park Board. And we're going to have some difficult discussions. And I like those guys over there. I know them all, and they're good people. But we're going to have some difficult discussions about the state of the Park District and how it's affecting our whole village. And with that, I conclude my comments.
And I could go on for another hour.
Right.
So, thank you, Trustee Porter. I've talked about the Park District for a long time as a coming down the river. It's going to land on our shore.
It's on the shore.
It's
on the shore.
I'm afraid it is.
Yeah.
Trustee Kemp?
Yeah, I would have to concur
you.
with Trustee Porter and his assessment with the Park District. Also, I would like to join Trustee Porter with condolences to the Colin Powell family. I don't know, Herb, have you ever read his biography?
I have not.
Okay, if I can find the book,
I'd love to.
I'll give it to you.
Yeah.
Hopefully I still have it because I have a tendency of donating books.
Okay.
So, with that, I don't have much to report. Tomorrow I'll be attending IDPH, Illinois Plumbing Inspectors Association, continuing education class for 6 hours of state certified hours. The director of IDPH is going to be there giving a report. So if there's anything interesting, I'll bring that back to the board. He's got a 1 hour slot to talk, so we'll see what he has to say with that. And with that, and our discussion with water, plumbers protect the health of the nation.
Thank you very much. Without objection, move to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Christie, call the roll.
Trustee Husani? Yes. Trustee Gutierrez?
Yes.
Trustee Porter?
Yes.
Trustee Kemper?
Yes.
Trustee Bancole?
Yes.
Trustee Prigi?
Yes.
Meeting's adjourned. Any energy to continue with the discussion
You adjourned.
for the budget?
You adjourned.
I adjourned the meeting, but the budget was a separate